Yeah, so in today's session, we will be talking upon how to do a business SWOT basically. So a business SWOT is nothing but understanding your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In our last session, we discussed on how to do up a business plan. While we are doing a business plan, SWOT is one component in that entire business plan that we need to take care of, which means that while we are doing the business plan itself, it's important that we understand our SWOT. What is the SWOT? How does it help us? And why exactly is it important for us to do it? So what exactly it is? It's understanding your the business strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what would be the strength of my business? What would be the weaknesses of my business? What opportunities are available in my area of work or in my area of business? And what are the threats that the industry has to offer? So that will be the entire SWOT for your business. Let's look at what exactly are we going to be doing under SWOT. When we are talking about strengths, what comes to your mind should be your business SWOT in terms of strengths? What is in your mind that should be, your strengths?
Sorry, what's the question, Jyoti? We got lost. I got lost for a few seconds.
Yeah, so I said SWOT is nothing but analyzing your business's strengths,
Strength and
weaknesses,
weakness,
opportunities, and threats, right?
threats.
So when you're entering into business, let's we discussed last week that we will take up learning and development as an industry, more so with emphasis on e-learning, right? So online learning. So let's assume we are taking an online learning business. So what, according to you, would be the strength in that business?
Content and delivery.
Content and delivery, yes. So your content should be different from the rest, or it should
Yeah.
be standing out, so it should be something different from others, then only it will be a strength. So you need to focus on your content and how you're going to deliver it. Of course, in online mode, you have e-learning modules you can prepare, you can do online sessions. These are the both the ways we can have an online mechanism of
You have
Yeah,
LMS,
flex.
hmm,
you
yeah.
learning management system.
Yes, yes. So how are you going to stand out, or what? These are all your strengths, right? Right. So first we will analyze what are our strengths. Then we will look at competitors. Then we look at competition. That basically will come under the threats parameter. Yeah. Yeah, Vijay, you were saying something.
Yeah. So yeah, you love the flexibility of timing. Like you can suit the learner's timing. You can probably you can learn from his like now hall or like his study room, not to go to specific location to study. You save a lot of time on that. It may be economical. You can like now record it and review it at your own convenience.
Yeah, so a lot of features are available when you talk about strength. So your learning becomes a lot more simpler. You can say that you're providing it at the comfort of your home. You can say that you can go through it or revisit a recorded session any given point of time. So these all become strengths. When I talk about weaknesses, what are the weaknesses?
Jyoti, your trainers also would be your
Weakness
strength.
again, content
Sorry,
and the
Triveni, you were
price.
saying something.
Your trainers also are your strength.
The
Your trainers also are your strength.
Vijay,
Yeah, the trainers,
actually,
the facilitators and the trainers who are the speakers. And
yeah.
see, certain subjects, if you talk about students, certain subjects, certain topics, people are students are comfortable with that particular trainer itself. So that again is a strength. So if they are very comfortable with trainer A, you need to make sure that the trainer A is always available with you in your organization, or you have some equal good substitute for that trainer in your organization. Yes. Yes, Paul, sir, on weaknesses.
Weaknesses, that is whether that is effective, whether that person is able to, you know, understand the topic. Maybe the trainer is very good, well known, but if the trainee is not getting transformed, or it is not understanding it effectively,
Hmm.
then that's of no use. There is a saying, no, that If the student is not effective, if the student is not learning it, it means the teacher is not good.
Right. So students should also be able to grasp that content in the manner that the trainer is delivering it. So the message should be,
Yeah, yeah.
received by the
Because
recipient. Yes.
that one student tell another 10 students, yes, this course is very good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is how, word of mouth. If
Hmm.
one student tell don't join this course because this is not good,
Hmm.
so it will there will be downfall. Because mostly what people do, the trainers, online trainers, they try to prove that they are very good, they have all the qualities, but in reality is that that student or trainee is not getting transformed or is not able to learn.
Correct. Correct. If the
And as
recipient
we,
of information has not received it in the right fashion, it will spread a negative word. So that is a weakness.
yeah, and then we talk about in LMS, there is one prime question: what is the objective of this course? If the objective of the course is not met, then
Hmm.
that course is not really a course.
Hmm.
It's only
Correct.
the trainer is showcasing a very good course.
Hmm. Absolutely. So that again is a weakness.
Another weakness is that what you can say, the quality of the online course. For example, you know whether that trainer is applying all the techniques like voice modulation, pronunciation, correct English, and explaining it in a way that the student can get feedback, give satisfying answer. So each stage the student should be able, you should proceed further. The student should be able to understand it the way what the way he has to understand it. Not that most of the failure in education field is the trainer or teacher want to finish the that schedule, and no matter whether the student or trainee learned or not, he says I want to complete my schedule, so please bear with me. So he
Exactly.
says ask the question last.
Hmm.
So at the end, what happens is that student says, I have not really understood it." So he will tell the other people, "This course is not good."
Correct, correct. So a lot depends on the trainer, how he's able to, equip the students.
Yeah.
Triveni, you were mentioning something. I missed that.
If the deep analysis is not done
Can't
appropriately,
hear.
then
Can't hear
if
you.
the if the need analysis is not done appropriately, then there's a mismatch in the training. So that could be a weakness.
Need analysis needs to be done. So whether the recipient or the trainee needs that particular training, and to what level, you cannot be speaking as a trainer at one level and the trainee is not capable of digesting the contents. So what important it is, the need analysis is what Triveni mentions. Absolutely, need analysis is important. That can be a strength also and a weakness also. If you get the right kind of need analysis, it's your strength. If you make a mistake in that, it's your weakness. Correct? Yeah,
Yeah, said yeah, that's right.
yeah, absolutely. And opportunities. Opportunities, what are the opportunities in this area of learning and development, especially e-learning?
Could be the same as strength,
No, the
and plus
opportunity. Uh-huh, okay.
opportunities like you can reach different areas. Like now, see, if I'm going to teach, say, English, it's not that I need to be specific for that particular area. I can reach out whoever needs English across the globe.
Correct. Hmm. So you can, I mean, the diversification is large. I believe an opportunity that has opened windows for e-learning is that it can cross boundaries. We can have a global reach in terms of our audience. So now it's not restricted to a classroom environment where you're addressing 15-20 students at one location. But yes, your reach becomes a lot more larger. Your reach will be reaching out to different states. Like we have all of you from different locations. I'm from Mumbai, Paul sir is from Pune, Vijay is in UK, and Triveni is in Bangalore. So That is the benefit of an e-learning platform, that the reach is very large, be it an LMS, be it an pre-recorded session, or be it an online session. So the pandemic definitely has brought in this advantage, that this is a very big opportunity available for all in the learning and development area, that it is, the reach is very large. So that's a very big opportunity. And the other opportunity that I foresee in learning and development is global expansion in terms of the way we teach, like, so we can use a lot of online tools, LMS being one of them. And we can also make use of different methods of training online. Again, it may not be an interact, just a normal lecture or a session. We can use worksheets, we can use files, we can use games, we can use a lot of things online. We can use different apps wherein we can have games to build up on that. So that's an opportunity which online platform gives us, in my view. Anybody, any other thoughts on this?
One more thing, there is a concept in learning that
Huh.
trainee or the participant can contribute some knowledge or some idea uh, to the trainer, because
Hmm.
it is not necessary that only trainee knows the topic subject and all trainees or participants do not know anything. So that I
Yeah.
am okay, you are not okay concept will not do, because
Hmm.
we will have to make you will have to give an opportunity, a platform to the participants or trainees to come with their idea. If necessary, you can even give them some idea that in one day in advance, this is the topic we are going to make. Like we call it in the teaching system. What is that? Is it pedagogy or something? That you ask them to read, search something on the net or read something and then come prepared, so
Correct,
that
correct.
they contribute something to the the topic, because
Absolutely.
that will uplift his that what do you call that his own urge to learn, because when he know that he is able to contribute, he knows something, then the trainer whatever he tells, whatever he or she tells, the trainee or student pick it up fast.
Correct. Now, that has to be a strength of the trainee and not an opportunity. Opportunity will always be there if you have a participant who can proactively contribute, but it's a strength then in that case, in my view. And threats, what could be the threats in our industry?
That is
So it
competition. More and more people are
Absolutely.
entering in.
Massive competition is point number one. Yes. What else?
Now, if you say that even Baidu, they themselves have a lot of competition.
Yes, yes.
So
Everyone has competition.
they keep on merging with the or they keep on taking over the other similar e-learning organization,
Hmm, hmm,
and they
hmm.
are also they are also knowing what is the, as you said, what they are offering and what we are offering.
Yeah, so that's how mergers and acquisitions play a significant role. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
So that's what works in industry. So yeah, so threat, of course, competition. First on the list is obviously competition. What is the next threat? What are the other threats that you see in this industry?
Maybe they are offering a slightly lesser, the pricing is less.
No, no, you don't compare with Baidu. Just generally in this industry of e-learning, what are the
uh,
threats?
hacking has become a major threat, I guess.
Which one? What?
Hacking has become a major threat.
Hacking. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I would call it more of yeah, hacking. You can name it as hacking, but yes, your content can be copied because it's available on the internet. So you can always duplicate that content, so that individual content is lacking. I mean, people are selling contents every day. I get SMSs for that. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing could be, the fact that your trainer or a facilitator who's very good with you with an organization might leave because of getting a better package. There is competition everywhere. So let's say if I have trainers on a particular topic at Learning Equinox and they're very good on that topic and they leave tomorrow, then it's challenging for me. It's a threat that they can leave because the competition is massive and anybody can take them. So that could be another threat in the industry. The other
Technology
threat,
is a
yeah,
challenge.
sorry.
Technology is a challenge.
Technology challenge. Yes, not everyone would be well equipped with technology, and technology is so dynamic that it's changing so fast. Today, I mean, in the initial days of the pandemic, we had only Zoom. Now we have Zoom, we have Google Meets, we have StreamYards to, we have Facebook Live, and a lot of other options available and easily available and accessible to do sessions online. So the competition is very high. The platforms are many, and as they go on increasing, people will like to move to different platforms and explore different things. So we need to be, as trainers, we need to be very much equipped with new technology that is coming up, aware about that, and also new technologies in terms of the teaching methodologies. That is how you're going to impart your training also is changing in today's times. So how you're going to be using, it's not only about presentation, it's about how you're going to be involving or engaging your audience, how you're going to make it more interesting for them, how you're going to make it interactive, how we're going to be adding on value to, as one of you mentioned about, Triveni, you only mentioned about need analysis. So if the need analysis is right, we know exactly where to pitch on, where we know exactly how to, put across that message in that session. And that is very important with the use of technology, and with use of technology it should be a lot more better, but how well we are equipped to use that technology is could be a threat. We or our trainers in our organization, so we are doing an organizational SWOT, so let's talk in organization parlance. So that is about what exactly would be a SWOT. Now that we have almost done SWOT of our own businesses, let's look at what this SWOT analysis is like. Strengths, obviously the internal factors, they are internal to us, which means we have control over them, which means we can, work upon them, improvise them, and we know that these are our best points and we can showcase it in a right manner. Weaknesses, obviously the factors that discount. Now we need to move from this quadrant to the strength quadrant. How do I make my weakness a strength? How do I make my weaknesses into strengths is a challenge. What are the things I'm going to be doing in my organization which will eliminate my weaknesses? That is something that calls for in-depth analysis and study. And when we do a SWOT analysis, not only we list them down like, okay, these are my weaknesses, these are my strengths, but how I'm going to overcome those weaknesses and make them my strengths. Opportunities are the external factors that empower. Obviously they are external to us, it's not in our control, but it's in our favor. So it's not in our control and it's in our favor means simply go ahead and grab that opportunity. Don't wait for things to change, because with technology, everything is very, very dynamic. So we need to just go ahead and seize that opportunity very fast. And threats are the external factors that destroy. That means because of certain reason, we are not able to do that. We are not able to reach out. We are not able to, let's say, in India itself, if you see, if you are in the learning and development field, and if you're doing a session or you have these online LMS sessions or whatever, language is one constraint. Okay, if I have to reach out to different parts of the country, I have to have my program in different languages, at least in Hindi and English, basic two languages minimum. So language is again a threat. It's external, it's something that I have to work upon. But can I make it my strength? Yes, by employing people who are well versed in that language, or if I want to learn it myself, I can do that as well, or I can equip people, or employ people who are having that knowledge, skill, and that talent. So again, these are all external factors. These are factors that if I'm let's say I'm moving learning Equinox to another state, let's say to Orissa, then I need to know that language. I need to have trainers which are able to relate to the audience there. Their need assessment will be different. Their learning skills would be different. Their language will be different. Everything would be different. So we need to understand how we're going to bridge that gap. That is external. That's not something that is internal to us. But yes, if I'm looking for an expansion in a particular city, in a particular country, in a particular state, I need to revisit my SWOT. And that's where SWOT analysis becomes a very important aspect in business planning itself, at this stage, at the initial stage itself. Now, of course, as I mentioned, we decided to do an e-learning things, and obviously the Harvard example only we can take, that is the Byju's e-learning app. What is the vision mission? We started with vision mission initially, right? So this is the vision mission of Byju's. Of course, a lot of information is from the internet, from the Byju's website and things like that. So the vision mission of Baiju is to reach out to millions of learners. Okay, the mission and how what is their vision? They want to integrate classes with the best teachers. So they want to equip themselves internally so that they can reach out to many students. So the mission statement always talks about the broader picture, whereas the vision statement always talks about the broader statement, whereas the mission is how we are going to be executing it, how we are going to be reaching out to those learners by having the best teachers. So the strengths, what are the strengths? What could be the possible strengths? A strength could be your pricing. That is what price you are going to benchmark your product or service in the market. What is your USP in the market? What is is it something different? Do you have, like when Byju's came in initially, there were no e-learning apps available in the market. So that was their USP. And in this way, they were able to make that as their USP. What resources are available at my disposal? What are the, I mean, I don't, more than trainers, if I'm going online, I need the online resources as well. Are they sufficient enough? Do I have sufficient funding to have that kind of resources? What are the manufacturing capabilities in case of a manufacturing concern? This is generally, I'm talking about generally when we're looking at strengths. We'll do the case study also simultaneously on each and every point. The manufacturing capabilities, whether I'm going to have centralized production or decentralized production, where will I set up my factory? If I have to set up my factory, are there any tax exemptions available in that area? Can that be of benefit to me? These all can become my strengths. What value addition am I giving to my customer? This is in line with my USP, because that will be my catch line, my tagline, my advertising method, where I'm giving faster delivery, easy accessibility, whatever it could be. We need to think through all of these things. Innovation, how much can I innovate on an ongoing basis? Byju's, what app it was in 2016-17 is not the same today. It is a lot more advanced. You know, app gets revised and the versions keep upgrading. Even if you're talking about learning and development, the curriculum of students keeps getting upgraded. In the skill needs of the people keep changing every single time. So how much are you capable of innovating in that field? How you are going to bring about innovation in your subject, in your area of training? And competitive advantage, what advantage does my competitor have? How are they different, and how can I stand out of from them? Let's look at Byju's strengths in this case. They have a very high product quality. What do you mean by high product quality?
The content is exclusive.
I mean something better than others.
Yes. So, as in the initial discussion itself, we said that many companies are merging up with Byju's. There are so many companies who've started with e-learning, but the product quality that is available with Byju's in terms of the learning content, the method, the easiness of the app, the simplicity of the app, that is available. So, it's a high quality product. So, that definitely is a strength, and it still stands out. It has a strong brand recognition. It has invested a lot of money into getting Shah Rukh Khan stand by it and, you know, speak on Baiju. So it has put in a lot of money on advertising. It has put in a lot of money and built its brand. Along with the training part of it, along with the teaching part of it, they have also focused on creating Byju's as a learning app for every single student. So that is the brand recognition that they have created. So definitely it is a strength for them. Market
Which year they
leadership.
started, Jyoti? Which year they started Byju's?
Just a minute, I'll give you the exact figures. I think 2016 they have started Byju's. 2010. Sorry, 2010 they had started.
So they're almost 10 years now.
10 years in the industry.
So their first version of their software, and today's software, there will be a lot of
Lot of they started with a simple website, not
yeah.
basically app first, and then they moved to the app. They did the product testing in 2012, and then in the mobile app came in 2015.
So now they got a mobile app.
Byju's learning app. They sell it as Byju's learning app only. So that is 2015 they came up with the app, and then of course they have been upgrading all of that.
So a lot of technology they have added in
Yes,
over
so
10 years.
that's again a capital expenditure which they felt they have, which they have rightly incurred to make that, you know, market leadership position, to build on that market leadership position. We've got just 10 minutes more, so if we get disconnected, we will come back and join in the same link.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so market leadership
What is
position.
the what was the turnover when in 2010 and what is the turnover now?
What is the turnover in 2010? In terms of number of students, when they started, they
No,
had
no, no. I'm
30
talking
to,
revenue.
yeah.
Revenue. What is the revenue income?
Revenue, no, they have, I have the numbers in terms of number of students that Byju's had. So they had,
Okay, that is also good enough. That is one way
yeah.
of measuring it.
So they had around 35 to 40 students in the initial stage of 2006, and
35 to 35 to
40
40 students.
students in a class. And they
Acha,
had about 8-10 batches running at a time.
okay, okay, okay.
Okay,
Because why I'm saying that
this
this will
batch
be
size in 2007, in 1 year's time, increased to 1,000 students.
yeah.
And then
Eh,
gradually now it's about 3 lakh across subscribers to their app. That is, in 2016 they had about 3 lakh active subscribers to their app.
acha, acha. So that 3 lakh subscriber, that is the feather in their cap. That is how they have grown.
Yes. uh,
Okay,
Somebody's put something.
okay, okay. Good, good.
Yes, all of these details, of course, I have picked up from the internet, and as Triveni also mentions, all of this information is available on the net,
Yeah.
which is easily available regards the Byju's business, because that is one case study even taken up by the Harvard Business School for learning. Then you have quality talent management. This is where I was talking about the trainers available. Sorry, this is what I was mentioning about the trainers quality. They have retained, they have made sure that, you know, see, it's very easy. If today I open up an educational institution, I appoint a trainer, if I'm not able to pay them, they will move. If a trainer becomes good, I have to make sure I'm able to retain that trainer with me. Okay, that is called as quality talent management, and that requires to a skill to make sure that you're getting the right kind of people at the right kind of cost. You may pay a trainer high, but not necessarily over, at the cost of quality. So you maintain a good quality manpower for the desired results, and diversify the product range. So they started with simple learning of, I think, the school students, and then it increased with CAT exams and things like that. So that's how they have expanded in different areas of education for children. Now they have NEET and CAT and everything on their syllabus, I think. So in this way, you can diversify your product cycle, and that becomes your strength. Now, all of this, having said that, you know, Byju's has done this, okay, easier said than done. But how much are we capable of thinking about this broader picture in the initial stage of our business is what strengths is all about. So you need to look at what they have focused over here from the strengths point. If you see value addition, in my view, they have focused on innovation, they have focused on resources. So these are the 3-4 areas that they have focused on. In the same way, we need to do for our business. When we go back, what we can do is take this list of strengths and work on what would be the key areas for my business, which I will always talk about. So high quality, value addition, I'll always talk about that. Strong brand recognition, yes, I will put in money for that kind of brand recognition. I want a market leadership position because I'm building a brand on that. So I have a competitive advantage. So which of these, you can just take 2 or 3 of them. Now pricing may not be very economical if I'm going for innovation and competitive advantage. It will be, Byju's is not a cheap product. It's expensive. So that we will look at when we do the other part of it. But in this way, you need to figure out what is going to be your focus area, what is going to be your strength. Clear so far? We move to the next. So I think we'll have time to cover up the weakness, and then we'll be timed out. Let's talk about weakness. When we talk about weakness, it could be the capabilities gap. That means, are my trainers in line with me? Are my processes in line with what I want? Setting up processes, making an app is fine, but is everyone, like if I'm making modules in an app, everyone has to follow a certain structure. Okay, just for example, if I'm making a module on, let's say accounts, so I need to have certain topics in a certain manner. I need to speak on certain topics, how it is in the textbook. I need to make it in that format. All of that is to be trained to the trainer who's going to, record that and put it in that app. So how am I going to invest in my capabilities? Is there a gap? Is there going to be challenges in this? Could be my weakness. I have to make this my strength. I have to put in training, learning and development in place to equip my employees to deliver exactly the way I want or what I want. Competitive disadvantages. What could be the competitive disadvantages that are there? What my competition is able to do much better becomes my disadvantage. So what are the things that they are capable of doing a lot better than I am? And do I need to really take that into my strength? Now, this list of weakness, again, everything you will not be able to make it into strengths. You need to figure out what you want from your business and then make that into a strength. The financial risks that are available in your business. What are the financial risks that are available? And is there a huge taxes, huge cost involved? Yes, in creation of an app, as in this example, we see that there is a huge cost that goes in the initial stage for, developing that kind of infrastructure for learning. So that is a financial risk. What if it doesn't work? How will I pay off my investors? Effects on the core activity. What is my core activity? My core activity is learning. Okay, so how is it that I'm going to look at the internal factors which are going to affect my core activities? My core activity is my product, my modules, my learning modules. How are they impacted by external sources? How are they impacted by the quality of the content? Your quality of content will play a significant role, because that is my core product. So my quality should be standardized. How will I bring about standardization? It could be a weakness, no? If some trainer is not able to deliver exactly the way I want to, how am I going to fix that? How am I going to, I first of all identify that, and how am I going to fix that? What mechanism do I have in place? In this way, I will build my weakness into my strength. Know your vulnerable risks means know exactly what can come in the coming future for your particular product or service. In 2005, 6, or even 10, 11, when Byju's started with the app, did they know that e-learning would have such a great market? I don't think so. It was very I mean, you're putting in money. Okay, you're putting in money in making something, and you're really not sure what it could be. A vulnerable risk if it does not work. What if this platform just does not work? If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, what are the challenges that I have? What would be the losses that will come in my kitty? How will I overcome them? How will I look at my finances in that case? How will I look at my business in that case? I might have to shut down. I might have to switch my model of business. What am I prepared for, and how? So in case of unique ideas, this is major of a challenge, because unique ideas, see, you never know when your unique idea may strike. You may never know that it might fail. So what are the vulnerable risks that are available? Make a list of that in your weakness. Always important to make a list of that in your weakness, so that you know and you're prepared for it. It's not a shock at a later stage in your business. Scarcity of resources. Good trainers could be a very major scarce resource in today's times. What sort of trainer, what sort of performance management system do I have in place? What sort of benchmarking am I going to do to get the right kind of trainers on my platform? What will be my HR policies for recruiting trainers? That is important, because that is a scarce resource. Manpower is a scarce resource. How am I going to equip? Technology is available, you pay and you can just go on working on that. But how will I get best trainers with me? That could be a scarce resource. I'm specifically talking only to the learning and development industry and not others, because that's what the plan is, that we are all will be able to relate to it. Okay, let's look at Byju's cost effective sales model. Whether is it cost effective or not? It is not cost effective, because a lot of capital expenditure in learning and development. So that's a weakness. The challenge that Baiju will have is, how do I make it cost effective? What is my model sustainable? It works in, let's say, when they started initially, it might work in Calcutta, in Mumbai, it might work in Delhi. Will it work in the UK? Will it work in the US? Scalability is one key area of your unique idea, always remember that. How much? Yeah, so we were talking about model sustainability, Byju's model sustainability. When I talk about sustainability, they need to look in that, would language be a barrier to the students, because they're relating to students who will understand different languages in different geographies, how they're going to reach out, how they're going to reach out to the US and the UK, what is their scalability model. So that could be a weakness if language comes as a barrier. If language does not come as a barrier, technology is fast and acceptable. If parents are comfortable to sending their, or letting their students learn on the app, then it is a scalable model. So model sustainability is still a weakness for them. They don't know in which market, how they will have to penetrate into. Parents investment on education, that comes as the next point, because as I already mentioned, Byju's, they have invested a lot in innovation and technology. It's on the expensive side. How much will the parents invest on education? Could be a weakness. Are they willing to come up with investing so much of money for the app, I mean the enrollment in the app and doing the education through Byju's? How many parents are coming forward for that? So that could be a weakness area for Byju's. In this way, we also need to revisit our own businesses. We have, maybe let's say we are coming up with something different. Could that become a challenge? Byju's invested capital and they have expensive products. So they have a challenge that parents' investment in education could be a challenge. What about us? Revisit yours. All these weaknesses that are listed on the left hand side, we need to look into them and see which could be our weakness. This is not the universe, these are just the examples which are generally seen in all areas. And then I have related it with that particular case study that we are doing it, as in this case, it is Byju's. So broadly, these are the weaknesses that are seen in industry. Let's look at the opportunities that are available. What are the different opportunities that we have? Opportunities that we have are in terms of market condition. What could be the market condition, whether it will be favorable to us or not favorable? When I talk about opportunity, obviously I'm looking at the favorable side to it. The customer needs, the need analysis that we have to do in the initial stage of our ideation itself, whether there is a demand for it, what is the market size, is it scalable only in India or globally, is it in only one part of the city or across the globe? Because depending on your market size will be your customers. The larger the market size, because online you can go to any part of the world. So how equipped are you? Is language coming as a barrier? What are the industry trends? How everybody is doing it? What everyone is comfortable with? Is everyone comfortable with online in a country, in our country itself? If you go to teach in the rural India, are they comfortable? No. How are you going to bring that mindset change? How are you going to, not that everybody has a smartphone today, it's not that people don't have smartphones, but how are you going to build in that culture? That's an opportunity. We all have that opportunity even today to reach out to the masses. How we are going to capitalize on that? How we are going to be trend setters? That's where you study industry trends. Core competencies. What are your core competencies where you feel, no, this is something that I can do really well and I need to go forward with this idea? The seasonal trends, whether my industry is seasonal or not. Travel industry, restaurant businesses, hotel industry, they are seasonal. Learning and development, if it's a specific type of learning, let's say preparation for competitive exams, then again it becomes seasonal, because during the competitive exams, which happens I think generally twice in a year, you have the NET, the CAT preparations, the CA foundation, CS foundation, all of that are bi-monthly, yearly, like twice in a year. So that actually covers the entire yearly cycle. But then yes, the focus is on those particular months where the examination is there. So what is the season of my examination? How do I make the most of that? So the maximum enrollments I will get is just a month or two prior to those exams. So I have to be prepared. My sales team has to be prepared to reach out to those areas. Industry standards. What are the industry standards that are available across? What is everybody else doing? Regulatory compliances. What are the regulatory compliances in my area of business? What are the exemptions that I'm going to get? What are the benefits I'm going to get? Is there an opportunity for me to make use of this business in the right manner? Will I get certain benefits if I'm a if I open as a private limited company or as an online company? If see today, digital platforms, the tax audit limit has been increased, so that's an advantage for me. That's an opportunity that if I'm doing my transaction through digital mode, if my turnover exceeds by from this budget it is 10 crores, if it's increased 10 crores, then only I have to go for tax audit and not otherwise. So that's a benefit for me. That's a regulatory compliance that's come, which is in my favor. So that's an opportunity. That's how you're going to be looking at these opportunities. If I talk about Byju's, yes, initially they started with one or two languages in India. Now they are having in different regional languages also the app. In almost all regional languages, they are having the app. They have been contributing majorly in the growth of digitization in India. So there are other institutes also, like if I may name a few, we have the Akash Institute, which is also very big, but they don't have a complete online platform for it. They still focus on classroom based learning. Now, of course, they have come out with a couple of e-learning platforms, but the majority of their trainings are through the classroom methodology. So they have Byju's, on the other hand, has capitalized. They're also preparing into competitive exams, Akash Institute, and you have got similar other institutes. They are focusing also on the same competitive exams like NEET and the other things for medical and engineering. So how has been the Baiju has capitalized or looked into as an opportunity way back in 2011 on the digitization of India. So they are being a contributor to digitization in India. They have introduced professional courses also gradually. So initially there was only classroom based trainings for school students, and gradually they started preparing for competitive exams also. So this was the next level that they had taken up, and this is how they capitalize on the opportunity, seeing that okay fine, there are different other professional courses and I can grab that opportunity of having more students on my learning platform. Untapping semi-urban areas, they looked at semi-urban areas where, which I was just talking a while ago, where you feel that yes, people have mobile phones but they are not making efficient use of it by going on to the learning app. So looking at those areas, they have focused on first of all the various different regional locations, and they have also focused on tapping these semi-urban areas and reaching out to them first, and then to the grassroots level of the rural India. So in this way, see, every step, if you go to see now, regional language is linked with your semi-urban, and then you look for digitization and professional courses. So they have not left any area blank. If I'm doing one course, I multiply into different professional courses. If I'm talking in one language, I will go and look into other areas or other pockets in my country of different languages. So that is how, as a business owner, you need to start seeing at opportunities. Okay, I can do this also, I can grab this also pocket of my market, I can see these seasonal trends are there, I can take this also as an opportunity, all of that. So this is how you see opportunity in a particular area. Coming to threats, when I talk about threats, they are something which are external and which are not in our control. But again, we need to assess them. Assessing your threats is very important because they could be something that can change the dynamics of your business, can bring about a lot of change in the way we do business. Regulatory environment, things that could not be in our favor. What could that be? Stringent laws, let's say, if I give an example, there's stringent laws that are coming up on non-performing assets. So it's important that we pay off our loans. If I'm a business owner, I need to make sure that I have sufficient working capital to pay off my liabilities and pay off my loans on time. This is a regulatory environment. If I'm becoming NPA, my CIBIL rating will go for a toss. It's a regulatory environment. If taxes increase in my area of work, then it's a external. You can't do anything. You are liable to pay tax and you are liable to pay tax. Other new technologies, somebody has come up with a completely different technology than my app or my digital platform or my e-learning. Am I able to cope up with that? Am I able to still stand up that level of learning? Uncertain weather, this is not applicable specifically to learning, but yes, in case of seasonal industries, where you have climatical changes affecting your business, like if you're doing retailing of fruits and vegetables, or commodities, grains, all of this will affect that. For those kind of businesses, this would be a threat. External manpower issues. What are the manpower issues that are there in my organization? Am I having regular training mechanism to upgrade and upscale my manpower vis-a-vis my resources? That is, if I'm talking specifically to the digital environment, it is very visible that you upgrade your app but you don't upgrade your people who are working on that app. So that there is a lacuna over there, and there's a gap over there, that people who are sitting across the counter or across that particular user or customer service desk are not able to figure out what the problem is because you've upgraded your app. So make sure that you are equipping your manpower also accordingly. So make sure that these issues are sorted. Labor issues are not there in your organization. People are not forming unions and violating against your policies. Make sure that uh, good and transparent HR policy is in shape. Make sure that your manpower is satisfied with the kind of services you have to offer, and there is a proper recruitment and retrenchment policy in your organization. Your consumer confidence, of course, they are the king. So they need to you need to make sure that today you're coming up with an app, tomorrow you change it, and you change it very frequently in the initial stage itself, you will lose your customer base. Because what happens is, let you need to give some time for your customer to be comfortable on your platform. They have come to your platform, your website, your app, whatever it is. You need to make them comfortable there, and then you need to keep on adding more or upgrading them on that particular platform. So your consumer confidence, you have to build that, and it takes time. And you cannot be very very fast in that. You cannot, it takes its own time, and you need to work upon with your employee with your consumers to give that kind of a feeling. This again, surveys, feedbacks are a very good way of getting this, these points. What is it that is lacking, and you can build on that confidence. Economic conditions in your country, which may or may not help the growth of your business. If I talk about Byju's, the risk of business model imitation is one of the major threats that this business has, as we have seen that there are many learning apps that are coming. So that's one of the major threats, that many people could come, and you never know who can grow faster than Byju's. There is a high cost of replacing the existing expenses. That is, experts can be replaced. So let's say Byju's has certain set of trainers which they are paying an X amount. A competitor can come and buy out those trainers, right? So there's a high cost for them to replace. It's a threat, it's external. You never know who might come their way and take away their trainers. Data security, content is available. Anybody can take and download content from their app and make their own content and sell it. But again, I think IPRs are there in place. You have intellectual property rights for brands and things like that can be taken care of. But yes, it's still a threat. Competitive pressure, you have a lot of competition around. Byju's has adopted the policy of absorbing everybody, and that generally is an industry trend, that if you are having competition, the best way to overcome is mergers and acquisitions. So you start absorbing those small players in the market and start growing bigger. But yes, the fact that competition exists and will continue to exist in a dynamic environment, especially digital, is always there. So there is competitive pressure across. High lead time to produce one course. If they want to venture from one area to another, or let's say initially they were having only school children, and then they had CAT and then NEET and then other professionals to courses to their list. Every time you're coming up with a course, you have to prepare content, you have to get the faculties to on that platform, you have to make sure that your content, videos, audios, all of that, question answers, quizzes and everything is there in place. All that content creation takes time. So the lead time to produce one course is very high. That is a threat, because you may think of an idea like, okay, I want to make a course on this topic, and that topic can be very quickly taken up by another competitor. So that is why it's a threat. Now that we've completed with SWOT analysis, that itself is not enough. You also need to, in threat, again, an extension of threat, as I can say, is the external environment, which is covered by a PEST analysis, which is political, environmental, social, and technical changes that are happening in your external environment, which we call as a PEST method. So you have the political changes, the government changes, the rule changes, the law changes that can impact your business. Economical changes, that is changes in the economy that are there, that is in terms of your manpower, your likes and dislikes of your consumers, all those are economical changes. Your social, that is your entire society, your students, the way of learning, the learning methodology changes will be your social environment. And your technical changes would be changes in technology, changes in systems, developments that are coming up, new things that are coming up in the technical field. So when we are talking about external environment, we go a step further and look into what the PEST is for Byju's. What according to you it could be?
This is a typical problem, especially in India. So many parties. The moment you are in a business, there are a lot of people who interact with you, try to collect money from you. They try to use their power.
Correct. So, is political stability in the field of education? We saw last year the change in the education policy. Now, government this budget they announced that they will have certain schools and colleges as representatives and build them on the new education system, and then everybody else needs to replicate that. But how that is going to be implemented? How will Byju's adopt to that curriculum change? Again, there is a high cost involved in changing. The lead time is high in changing the content. So just by one policy change, there are a lot of changes that we have to do in the education system. Training service sector in the economy. So the how the trainers have changed in the economy. First, it was more of 21st century learning. We all know, and we all have been implementing that in the recent times. So the focus has changed from the technical concept of learning to learning on behavioral skills and soft skills and creativity and thinking, collaboration and things like that. So that dynamics of the environment is also different, no? So the training service industry is also changing. Intellectual property right protection, yeah, the intellectual property of your data, privacy and everything needs to be secure. So if the law changes in that aspect, we had the Information Technology Act coming up in 2006. Uske baad there has been so many changes in that act itself. And how has IPR taken shape? What are the changes in the IPR regulation for your product or service? And that will obviously in fact impact learning and development as well, which is the case with Byju's. Curriculum changes I already talked about, because with training services sector, it's also about the curriculum that changes. So if the syllabus changes, again we know that our threat is that there is a large lead time to update our product and service. How are we going to come out with courses in such short time? So this is the political aspect of the analysis. When I talk about economical aspect, the cost of resources, that is books, papers, become expensive. So material raw material that I use as input for my product can become expensive or is expensive. Parents may not be able to raise that much of funds for would not, because it's an expensive course, they may not be willing to pay that much to the students to come up with the courses. Interest rates may be stable. So if I am taking funding from outside for um, putting into my app and building on it, the interest rate in the economy is not stable. It is high these times. I have to repay my loans. Government is observing the NPAs in a very harsh manner. I have to make sure that I pay off my loans. My interest rates may be high if I'm going for private funding. How am I going to pay them off? All of this is my economical conditions. Social factors that can affect Byju's or an equal e-learning app could be a lot of experienced faculties can move away. I already talked about that in the threats point also. So if I have an experienced faculty, a competitor comes in, they pay more and they take away my faculty. So how am I going to control that? Choices of the faculties to change the institute. What sort of an NDA or what sort of an arrangement can I have with my faculties to avoid this scenario? How do I make a choice that they retain with me? The children prefer some faculties for some subjects. So children automatically, if my faculty moves, the children who are a fan of that faculty will also move away. So how am I going to control that? These are all social factors. They are society based. I mean, it's the choice of the faculty to move or not move. It's based on the social factors. Let's look at technological factor, that is technical factors. The technology is fast changing, so I have to keep upgrading my app, I have to keep upgrading my LMS or whatever system I'm using. I need to bring in there is a lot of competition in this e-learning environment, especially post-pandemic. Many people are going online for e-learning apps, LMS, and things like that. So, and Byju's is also absorbing a lot of companies and covering up on this aspect. So, competition is increasing. In this way, we will be able to understand what exactly are our external threats more better if we list it down in terms of political, economical, social, and technical. For our businesses also, in maybe learning development or any business, we need to assess them, we need to assess the changes, and these changes will be very dynamic, will happen very frequently. And that's why when we put up this SWOT in a business plan, these changes we are reviewing quarterly, and that's where we are able to figure out that where is my business going in the right direction. I think that's all for today's session on SWOT. If you have any questions, any queries, I just took Byju's because we discussed on learning and development to be an industry.
Okay. Thank you. It's a very nice, very informative and very useful to me.
Thank you. And thanks,
It
Triveni. I saw your message in the chat window. So let me know. Next Saturday, I'm planning to do how you'll find out that co-founder, how you can find out a co-founder for your business. Because if you're doing a startup, then you need to have a co-founder. Then we'll do pricing strategy, and then we'll do registration under startup. So next session, we'll be talking about how to get a co-founder for your business.
So thank you, Jyoti. Thank you for giving a lot of information.
Thanks
Learning is
everyone for this session, and look
okay.
forward for the next session next Saturday, same time. We'll be talking on the co-founder.